All right, so everybody has to know William Anderson. He's our VPO. He's also my life coach, even though he didn't want to be. Oh. We're just announcing that now. All right, we're just going to jump into this. And I think the first question is for you to tell us how you got started in real estate, because I'm not sure if everyone knows.
Yeah, and I'm really excited to talk to you guys today. And I think that I do get a chance most of the time to rub shoulders with you guys in the hallways. But I think I'd be doing a disservice to not take a moment to just thank Nick for allowing me to have the stage here today. I never want to take that for granted. And your guys' attention and wanting to add value to all of you. Faith and I went back and forth quite a bit about this. And I just want to make sure that I can give you guys something of meaning and of value. And so I'm excited to share my story with you and with Faith up here. We always have a good time at work together, but I'm hoping to really connect with you guys, and if nothing else, give you some hope because of where I came from and the journey that I've been on. So if nothing else, maybe I can provide a little bit of hope. But my journey into real estate was a very curious one. I probably started out, never voted most likely to succeed in anything, barely finished high school, grew up in a 900 square foot house out off Sand Hollow in New Plymouth. And my two best friends, I was telling Tyler Jones this morning, my two best friends growing up, one of them had a felony and the other one was in jail within 18 months of us graduating high school. Actually, sorry, I graduated, they didn't. But that could have easily been my path. But I was in the Air Force for 11 years, and the reason I actually got my real estate license was because a good friend of mine was a high producer in real estate, and he had been a mentor of mine already. And I didn't really know what I wanted to do in that transition afterwards. I left the military because I wanted to prioritize my family and give them more of me and give them more of my time. I've always wanted to be a really good dad and a really good husband. And I was just crossed with my values and the way I was making money. I was gone a lot and I really just wanted to be there. But I didn't know what that looked like. And so this mentor friend of mine said, well, if you get your real estate license, I'll try to make sure you don't go broke. And I was like, okay, well, that's a good start. That's actually how I got my real estate license.
Do you feel like you had some skills from being in the military that transferred over?
No. I'm kidding. I would say, a lot of the non-tangible, the soft skills, right? Showing up, putting the work in, doing the time, being able to regulate yourself and put a lot of effort and energy into things, serving people, doing things that are bigger than yourself. I would say yes, there were a lot of those skills, but I was in aeronautical fabrication operations, so not a lot of transferable skills to serving clients and helping them find a house. I had to learn all of that. So even though I knew about the building industry because my dad was a builder and contractor, I knew a lot of the construction side, had no idea. I had to learn all the stuff with being a realtor that you guys had to learn. So,
but you were smart, so. Okay,
the
so
jury's still out.
What was your biggest obstacle starting out as a realtor? And if you could go back and do something differently now that you have the experience, what would that be?
My biggest obstacle, so this is going to get real. The hardest thing for me was the first year. I had a really tough go. When I say not a lot of transferable skills, I was very command and control style. Like my personality type, I love to be in control. And I love to have predictability, but I'm also the sole provider for my family. So there was a lot of pressure on there for me. And the hardest thing for me was the first 6 months of literally asking my wife twice a week to go donate plasma and do the things that we didn't want to do, to buy groceries, because I had made a career shift so that I would have more time for my family. That was hard. It sucked. I hated it. It was the things I didn't want anybody to know about. It was the gritty part that says, okay, this is what you committed to. Now, what are you actually willing to do to make that happen? And knowing that if I was going to earn my wife's respect back as a leader of my family, I had to stick through it. I had to show up. I had to serve on my career path that I was going to go on. I had to stay committed to that, and I had to go through that really crappy experience. But that was the hardest thing, is trying to maintain. I had to coach myself and my wife through that whole thing, because she's looking to me to say, hey, dummy, you just threw away 11 years in the military. Now what are you going to do? We still got to pay the mortgage. And are you actually going to do that? And seeing the doubt and seeing the wonder in her eyes if I was going to follow through, that was really hard. And I had to prove that to her and earn her respect in that way and show her that I was going to do it.
And you did. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I know that you've spent a lot of time and energy investing in yourself by learning about coaching and then implementing it in your career moves. Describe the moment that lit a fire in your soul for coaching.
I will never forget this day. I was in church because my wife dragged me to church for some holiday, and I was at a church. We didn't really go to the same church. We kind of jump around. And this guy, you know the part in church when people they do this timer and they're like, introduce yourself to the people around you. And this is the part where I'm like, this is a waste of time. Like, I do not want to do this. And my wife loves it. She just loves interacting with everybody. I'm like, oh, whatever. So I get a tap on my shoulder, and I was wearing some cufflinks at the time, and a guy asked me about my cufflinks, and we got to chatting, and he basically said he's new to the area and had just moved down here from Alaska. And so we got to kind of friendly chatting, and then afterwards, my wife was like, you should be his friend, because he's new, and he doesn't have friends here. I'm like, oh, great, that's what I'll do. I'll be somebody's friend. So we made a lunch date after that. And I actually went to lunch with him, and I found out that he was one of the top producing agents in Alaska. He had a wildly successful real estate company and had several different business ventures that he was on. And he was like a year older than me. And he had barely finished high school, and he had grown up with a blue-collar family. And I thought to myself, how the hell am I in the military working my tail off, not making enough money, not getting to spend time with my family, not being able to prioritize my values, and then this guy who was raised very similar to me was able to have all of this success. And so that was my first experience, and he said something to me in that lunch that he said, show me your coach and I'll show you your future. If you don't have a coach, then you're living your future. And that was really powerful because the only thing I'd ever associated coaching with up until that point was like athletics. And so I didn't think about coach in business and personal development, professional development. So he opened my eyes to that world. He basically said, you need to really be intentional about the things you're putting into your mind and you're listening to. Some of the things that Matt was talking about, Nick was talking about, the people I associate and that I'm around every day. And he basically said that they're going to be a huge determination of where you go in your potential in life. So he had me draw out the 5 people I spend most time with, and that's kind of where we started. He gave me a book list, and I read 36 books in 12 months after meeting him, and that was a big turnaround for me.
Oh, wow. So, I mean, from my time around you, I just feel like coaching is very natural for him. And I'm sure a lot of you feel that same way if you've experienced that. Like, I go into my meetings and I'm like, I'm here for my therapy session. Please help. No. But he's just so candid and genuine about it. And so I'm curious, do you think that younger Will was already a coach to others, or were you seeking someone to be your coach?
Younger Will was always a coach to others. Caveat. That doesn't mean younger Will was ever qualified to coach others. I was always really ready with advice. But it doesn't mean it was good advice. So I would say I always had that within me, but I needed a lot of grooming and polishing to be able to help other people with that skill set.
What would you say that your area of weakness was that you needed to strengthen?
Humility.
Humility?
Yeah. Okay. It's interesting to me, and I think because of the way I was raised, my dad was a Marine. My dad was a really tough guy who says, you always just figure it out, and you get tough, and if you don't know the answer, you go get the answer, and if you don't know what to do, you figure it out. You just get tough and you get gritty. And I think what that does is sometimes it makes us not as coachable as we need to be because we're used to being the person that always finds the answer. And so I had succeeded in the military being the person that could always just go figure it out. But what that did is it bred, with my personality styles, it bred a level of arrogance that lacked the humility to take on, to fully embrace the perspective of other people. And I really, truly had to take a passenger seat to say, you know what, you don't know everything. And you need to really humble yourself and figure out from the people. Well, first of all, surrounding yourself by people that are way further in your life will humble you, because you're like, holy smokes, I was really cool in my last environment. I don't know shit here. I need help. And that's humbling as well. But
Okay, so you might have answered a little bit of that then for this question, but what are 3 things that you believe make someone coachable? And then how do you challenge somebody who doesn't seem ready for it?
Yeah, coachability is an interesting thing, and we talk a lot about this, Nick and I too, with hiring and building teams. And coachability is really close to the top of the list of qualities that somebody needs to survive in a good team environment. And it's one of the biggest values and emphasis I think that you can put on yourself is to be a coachable person. And what does that actually mean? So for me, I think you can't overstate humility. Being coachable requires a tremendous amount of humility because you can't learn something if you think you know it all. And so I would say that's huge. Also, they say experience is the best teacher. I think that's a lie. Evaluated experience, like Nick was talking about, is the best teacher. If you take that experience and you say, holy cow, what went wrong? What could have gone better? How can I do it better next time? That is the best teacher. And then even one step further than that is, hey, coach, person who's been further and knows more than me and has better perspective than me and broader, this was my experience. How could I avoid some of these pitfalls in the future? And now you're getting not just your evaluated experience, but the evaluated experience of other people. So I do think, though, in coachability, having a learner spirit and that attitude that says, I'm going to seek to understand things. I'm going to seek to grow my mindset and my skill set from a place of humility where you just say, there's a lot I don't know. It's just like, sometimes I'll get a book reference, I'll get 30 pages in and be like Nick said, this is not for me, right? But then I sit there and I think about it and I'm like, well, yes, but I got this one thing out of this one paragraph that was amazing. And this whole book, I probably never recommend it, but I did get what I could, so there wasn't a total wash. And I think that we have to approach things like a grocery store, and this is one of my favorite analogies. You don't go to the grocery store to get everything in the grocery store. That's weird. You go to a grocery store to get what you need and then you leave, right? And so there's going to be a lot of things and tools and resources that different coaches provide and different people that are in your life for maybe just a season have, but to mine that gold from them that they're wanting to give you based on their life experience and their ability to give you, because they have tremendous value. A homeless person on the street can teach you things if you have the humility and coachability to say, okay, what out of their life experiences can I learn from?
I love that answer. I do think that for the women in here, we're like, don't go to Target with us. We're definitely leaving the store.
Buying everything. I need everything. I know.
So what are things that you believe others should always be focused on improving within themselves that has a direct correlation and impact on how they're doing their business?
Interpersonal skills, I would say, is going to be one of the near the top. Your ability to help people through situations, to help them resolve conflict, to take it and not make it part of your crazy and just truly keep a level head while you're listening to them and helping them problem solve and solution seek and navigate through these difficult challenges. Because I think everyone in here knows your clients are freaking crazy. They're crazy. They don't need you to be crazy too, okay? So the better you can be level-headed and sound-minded and you can give them a possible outcome. One of my pet peeve phrases in real estate is, I'm going to fight for my clients. Okay, well, first of all, if your attitude is that you're going to fight somebody, you're probably not thinking automatically in your client's best interest. Now, I do believe you need to stand up for them and their best interest, no question about it. However, what their best interest is usually not a fight. Their best interest is you navigating them emotionally and intelligently through a process that serves their best outcome that they've already told you they want. And doing that in a way that's going to keep the relationship of the transaction intact. I don't know if I answered that.
You did. Okay, will you tell us a story, no names, better not be about me,
okay?
About somebody that was initially challenging to coach who maybe ended up surprising you?
So there's a gal here at the office, she's got red hair.
Really?
Honestly, the hardest person I've ever coached or been in interaction with is me. That's the dead honest truth. I have been the hardest person in coaching. I've also, I would say, been the biggest turnaround to my own surprise in a lot of ways. But in leadership, you'll hear all the time that the hardest person to lead is yourself, right? And I would say that I was a very easy reference of what not to be in coaching, especially in early management and early leadership. There was a lot of getting out of my own way I had to do.
Do you feel like you still continue to coach yourself, or do you have someone else that you look to for that?
I have a lot of people that coach me, but I do, and Nick and I were talking about this just yesterday, I think it's so important that you have a board of advisors in your life that are more experienced, know more, see more, and have been down a couple paths, that know your values, know your ambitions, and know where you're coming from so that they can help guide you. Whether that's somebody you're paying, or it's a relative, or it's just a strategic group of people you put together in your life for that reason. I do believe that if you're going to coach and teach other people, you have to have that in your life as well.
That's awesome. Okay, so when you work with clients in real estate, what has proven to be the best method for providing them with answers and solutions to their problems?
The best method, sorry, would you rephrase that or say it again?
When you work with clients in real estate, what has proven to be the best method for providing them with answers and solutions to their problems?
I think if you're going to be a resource, you have to always be learning. When I worked in the new construction space, I knew quite a bit from the construction standpoint going in, but I think there's nothing that gives your clients more confidence than your competency and what they're actually inquiring about. That doesn't mean you have to know all the answers, but if I can overwhelm them with my competency and I can tell them things that they didn't even know they wanted to know, and always be learning about that, then I think that what that does is it builds their confidence in you as a professional. Now, again, that doesn't mean you have to know all the answers. I love the fact that I don't know all the answers. Sometimes it gives me an opportunity to learn as well. But if you're going to serve them best, you have to be continually learning. You have to be continually developing and growing your skill set as a professional.
So we're out of time, but I'm going to let you do the last one, which is leave us with your favorite quote. I know you love them.
I do. I probably already said a couple, but I'm going to give you two because I can't just give you one. First one is that I've heard many times in different scenarios that you have to give up to go up. You have to give up in order for you to go up. And I love that analogy because this is the thing that keeps people from being coachable a lot of times, and it keeps them from learning in their skill set in their profession, is there are things that you have to give up in order for you to move forward. It might be control. Maybe your business is at a point where you need to rely on other people to help you with things. You need an assistant, you need a buyer's agent, you need other people, so you have to let go of that control. It might be letting go of what people think of you, and you start tapping into your database of your sphere of influence to get your business started. There are times where you're going to have to let go of a lot of things in order for you to move forward into the things that you're going to be blessed with. But if you're not willing to give up those things so that you can go up, they just won't come to you because you have to let go of those things that are holding you back. So you have to give up to go up. And then the last thought here, I'll leave you with the quote is, there's three types of people. I love this analogy. There's people that watch things happen. There's people that make things happen. There's people that say, what the hell just happened? In real estate, be the type of person that makes it happen.
I'm the third one. All right, thank you guys. Thanks, Will.